Bobbie, you guys are battle tested and proven. And we saw that show up in your maturity and in your leadership in Detroit. Hello to everyone tuning in to the series for Beyond the Chair. This is where we take the wonderful folks that we selected for an event for the Founders Chair, and then we follow their journey post the event and share and highlight some of the amazing things that they're doing post-event. And so today I'm joined by Bobbie from Solvrays and her husband indirectly, Sovin, which we got to spend time with in Detroit as well. But Bobbie, we're so thankful that you are here to share your insights, share your experience. You're no longer a first-time founder. In fact, this is your third time. So the audience will definitely get to take some wonderful and valuable insights from you during this discussion, and I'm looking forward to it. So right off the bat, we jump right in. Tell me about yourself. Talk about your elevator pitch on who Solvrays is.
I'm Bobbie Shrivastav. I'm co-founder, CEO of Solvrays. And my company, this is my third venture and my second insurtech called Solvrays. And what we're focused on is building an AI workflow platform for the insurance carrier to really tackle the messy middle, the messy legacy systems, and how can we really create a great foundation when it comes to back office operations. We're purposeful built for insurance.
So operations is a big deal. Let's try to narrow that down. So tell me a little bit more about your audience. Who is that? Paint that picture for who you might be targeting.
In the insurance space, we're talking to operations leaders. We're talking to operations leaders that are really trying to figure out how they can get out of having this manual work and all of these manual workarounds that they've built to really continue to support operations. From a carrier point of view, it doesn't matter if you're a large carrier or a small carrier. When we think about operations, some of the challenges are the same. They just manifest it in a different way. So for a small carrier, they may not have the number of systems, but in a larger companies, there's so many different systems that operations has to navigate. Another customer type that we are targeting is enterprise architecture. They have been mandated to figure out how are they going to use AI in their organization and how are they going to partner with business and operations to really solve some of these pain points that we're seeing in operations with automation. So that's another audience that we tackle. And then this is an audience that's pretty unique. We wanted to, in Solvrays, in our journey, we wanted to solve we want to grow through partners. So yes, we will have our own set of customers that we're going to pursue, but a lot of our customers are coming from our partners. And what's interesting is our partners are seeing us as an avenue to utilize our integration, our AI orchestration engine, so that we can expedite their implementation timeframe. So what a bespoke implementation and integration work could take 3 to 6 weeks can be done in 48 hours. That's game changing for a technology solution provider because not all of us are incented by services revenue. Our goal is how do we get product out there and how can carriers utilize the product? So that's been interesting in 2025 as we've been in our journey. So many solution providers are looking at us to say, hey, how can you help expedite our implementations and integrations?
So Bobbie, I'm curious, do you cater to each individual situation or do you have a systematic process in place to handle each situation?
What we've learned is the process is similar. And what's interesting is, from a service point of view, whether you are a property casualty carrier or if you're a life annuity carrier, the process, the challenges are the same, just the systems are different. You still need to get data The type of data is different, the vocab is different, but the process flow is typically the same thing because a lot of even PNC side of the house will say, hey, once like if a piece of information comes in, I need a human insight. That's why there's so much manual process. Our goal is, well, if we can provide that information in the most cleanest way possible to a operation staff, whether you are a new business, whether you're underwriting or your service, right? Doesn't matter your type of ops. That's needle moving because they're not having to do so many different touch points and take, 10 SLA of 10 days or 3 days. We could do that within seconds, right? When we have orchestrated. What we are doing though is building like canned processes, like how do we build these quick pulse chains is what we call them for emails, for a beneficiary flow, for an address change, for a loan request. We know so much of life and annuity so that we can build out a lot of those, new business underwriting if they're uploading a document for review. So we have pulsed it out. A lot of those flows. We're trying to do the same thing with PNC. PNC is like totally new vocab for us, but we've been very grateful because we do have mentors and advisors. We were part of the Fire Accelerator, so we got great access to mentors. That Fire Accelerator was powered by Erie Insurance and Value Momentum, and we got mentors from their organization that have helped us understand some of the PNC 101. Here's like the foundation. Here's some of the pain points. And we're using a lot of that information to pre-build out a renewal flow, a backdated cancellation flow. How do we get new business out? So it's been fun to get out of the life and annuity space into something totally different.
I love that, Bobbie, what you just said. And by the way, building on that, TFC does see a lot of founders, and we don't think any founder or firm has solved everything. But what we try to do is pick out those that are doing some really great things that we see as being a piece, if you will, of that overall puzzle for the industry. But let's keep things rolling. I want to dive deeper into the problems that you're solving. And can you share about more of your piece, if you will, right, of the puzzle? What would you like the world to know about what Solvrays does and what you're accomplishing?
When we started the journey of Solvrays, couple of things. This is we're launching into our second insurtech. We have learned so much from our first venture that we wanted to make sure that how do we learn the things that we have learned and apply it in our company, and B, we don't make the same mistakes because that wouldn't, you've got to have this growth mindset. What we did do is we talked to several industry professionals and leaders. After ITC of 2024, it was clear that AI, everything was Gen AI. Everything in ITC was Gen AI. So if we're going to really try to solve problems, you can't just wrap AI and say, I have an AI solution, I have a Gen AI solution. It's not really solving an industry problem. What we saw was so many vendors and operations still being riddled with legacy. 72 or 74% of insurance is still running on legacy tech stack. We knew a statistic that we've been following even in our last venture, but this time we got newer data that said, I think it was McKinsey's report that by 2028, 50% of insurance professionals are going to retire. 50%. So you've got this legacy, you've got this workforce issue, and then you have a problem around the cost of these solutions. The cost of tech is actually working in a innovation perspective favor in ourselves because it's less. So the barrier to entry, the barrier of doing AI now, like building these models, it's non-existing because we can do that now with the rise of Gen AI and some of this AI infrastructure being applicable. And after talking to the industry, we said, hey, we're going to build out the orchestration layer. Where the nine gene philosophy comes in is when we set out to build this orchestration layer of how do we do system to system connectivity, what we learned is this is great, but a lot of my documents are coming through email. Even the faxes will turn into email. How can you help with that? And what we learned from extraction is some of this extraction engine, they're just creating it's once again, it's the cost to serve. So if we can build out a leverage an open source LLM and really fine tune it to insurance, we were getting extraction from emails. Like I'm talking about basic data. 60% of data that comes through organization isn't your medical records, which you do need deeper extraction. It's just basic stuff that we can extract. And now with the tech, it's we can do it, right? So we don't need to be integrating every single component out there. So we built our own extraction engine. And then what we are doing, what we started to do is identify partners that could do, in workers' comp, there's this ICD codes, extracting. Now we have a couple of partners that can do that really well, but we need to orchestrate that, right? Not just be creating bespoke. So that's where extraction came in. And if you start to look at our genes, we have a gene for data extraction, we have a gene for documents. Industry loves documents, loves correspondence statements. A, it's regulatory, and B, it's consumers expect it, like your annual statement. So how can we produce that in the most efficient way possible? We know Excel spreadsheets are a dime a dozen still in the industry. So how can we get the data and leverage it in an operations flow in the most seamless way possible? How can we pull and push data from legacy systems using agentic AI? That is what the nine gene structure, that's what our customer said. Orchestration is great. How can you connect so that you can solve my doc generation problems, my extraction problems? So everything is modular and everything has the ability for us to plug and play. So if you have an extraction engine, awesome, we'll plug it in. If you have a doc generation, because that's not what we sell. We sell orchestration. We want to be that connective tissue for an insurance organization.
Let's double click on that part about bootstrapping, because we find that a lot of founders come and ask us really about A, do you like my business? B, do you think this is the right time to raise? And then what would I do if I were them, and how much they'd want to raise? So, very important conversation that exists. Can you share a little bit more, expand upon that mindset that you have around bootstrapping versus raising?
When you build a business that has a great financial foundation, and you can account for every dollar that's spent. And what bootstrapping for us, for Sylvan and I, what that has done is really made it so that we can truly focus on ensuring that we bring in the right people. They're super vetted, and we don't have an open checkbook, or we don't have like a hand that says, go spend money. Here's a venture studio, right? Like we will own majority of it, but you get a blanket $2 million check. That's my philosophy. It just, if you're a founder that really wants to do well, it's a grind, it's a hustle. Yes, bootstrapping, you are working very hard because you're not getting paid to do this, right? But you're building such a strong foundation of how you're going to scale the company because every decision is purposeful because it's coming out of your own wallet. It's not coming out of a blanket checkbook or a VC fund that's just written $25 million to you. You're just being super judicious. And I'm not saying those founders aren't judicious. It's just you're not gonna we are double, triple thinking every single decision. Every single event has to have an ROI. It just makes you, and that's when we do get funding, right? Like we have raised money, we're spending it just as judiciously as possible because We don't have a big brother's hand that says, hey, we'll just port over money whenever you need it. We don't have a, it just makes you, in my opinion, I'm building a company that's sustainable, that has, that is built on good principles of profitability. Profitability, not revenue. I'm not chasing just sign anything. I'm building a profitable company, which means customers are going to stay loyal to us. We're going to deliver on our service. That's my personal philosophy. Bootstrapping is just, it's difficult, but if you can stick through it, you will get a loyal customer base. You will get a loyal investment base because they know how much work you are doing to every single dollar is a multiplier effect and not just, I'm going to go spend 100K at ITC because I can. You're not going to have that effect.
Bobbie, what would you say to a founder? You've been to many of these, right, events. What would you say to a founder who's looking to apply to TFC, but perhaps are on the fence?
For the founders that are listening that are interested in applying, do it. It's worth it. You'll meet other people that are in your similar journeys. B, you're going to be surrounded by people in the industry that care about the industry, that love the industry, and they want to invest in the industry. And look at them as, maybe not all of them will write checks, but look at them as people that you have in your pocket that can help move needles for you and move mountains and make connections for you. So it's not always about capital. These events are so critical to build your network. And that's what we loved the most about the TFC.
Thank you for the glowing endorsement. Let's wrap by letting you plug Solvrays and then also how folks can connect with you as they may be listening and hearing Solvrays' story for the first time and find common connection.
You are an insurance carrier that is struggling with how do you tackle the legacy system, or of your operations friend that's struggling, or an enterprise architect friend, connect with us. Would love to talk about what we're doing. The second ask is if you are a partner that is interested in partnering and becoming part of our ecosystem, we want to do good work with good people. And then finally, if you are writing checks, are interested, like I said, we're not recruiting, but if you feel compelled in what we're building, happy to have those conversations and bring you on in the same investment valuation as some of our other as our VC and other angels have done.
I know, and I have not forgotten that after you've accomplished a lot more milestones with Solvrays, that there may be a seat at the founder's chair as a funder to join us as you and Sovin want to continue to invest and really give guidance and inspiration to the next future founders that are bringing their own piece of their jigsaw puzzle to the table and solving it well. So we're looking forward to that day. We appreciate your time and thank you for joining us on this episode of Beyond the Chair. I